this is something.
Hey everybody, we are back with another Hot Wings video. We have a very special guest with us today. It's our very new President Lewis. President Lewis is Houghton College's 6th president and a true champion for students. With over 20 years of experience in education, President Lewis, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thanks for having me. Glad to be here.
So, how are you normally with hot stuff? Is it something that you go for, or is it something you normally try to actively avoid?
You know, I'm from New Orleans. We like hot food. I'm still a little nervous though. So let's see.
All right, you want to have that the first wing? Not so bad.
Oh, it's good.
Well, let's, if we could, take a trip back to you, a 17 or 18-year-old President Lewis. When you were deciding on which college to attend, what was that like for you? What were some factors that you were considering, and how did you eventually land on attending Loyola?
So the truth is, my parents always talked to me about the importance of going to college. And so from the time I was a kindergartner, there was never a question on whether I was going. It was always just a question of where I was going. I actually started my time in college as a jazz studies major.
So do you still play any instruments, or?
You know, I'm retired. But I absolutely loved my time as a musician. It's a part of who I am.
Awesome. Ready for the next one?
I'm ready. That was good.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, I like that.
Okay, so you experienced Hurricane Katrina firsthand, correct?
Did.
So saying that was an extremely difficult time for you would be the understatement of the year. Can you reflect a little bit on that experience and how you feel God used that natural disaster to, one, prepare you for your future, and two, how it will help inform you as your role as Houghton's 6th president?
Yeah, so I was a relatively newly married man. My wife and I got married in November of 2003. We'd actually just moved into our first home in June of 2005. Katrina came August of 2005, and so it was just 2 months. And with the exception of the car we evacuated in and a Walmart bag with one change of clothes, we lost everything in our home. We had 13 feet of water in our home. And so that experience was impactful, as you might imagine. Even today, we tend to divide our lives into the before Katrina, post Katrina kind of line. One of the memories I think I'll never forget is we ended up moving to Raleigh, North Carolina, and we had applied to school districts all across the country. Both my wife and I were teachers at that point. We were living in a fire station, you know, fire pole and all. Both of us got calls in Raleigh, North Carolina, the same day, the same school district, different schools, so it wasn't coordinated. And what we will never forget is we get in those jobs, signing the lease on an apartment after being homeless, walking into the front door of Walmart, and then looking at each other at the same time and saying, we need everything. Where do you start?
Wow.
And it's been my experience throughout the course of my life that God's plan for me has always been better than anything I could have ever planned for myself. You know, I think about the country song, I thank God for unanswered prayers, and that certainly has been my testimony. When I think about all the things that I have wanted or prayed for over the course of my life that I'm grateful that God didn't give to me because he had something else, you know, it's just something to reflect on and think about.
Great. Ready for the next one?
I'm ready. I like it.
Right.
I like it. Yeah,
Good.
yeah. I would buy that. Absolutely.
You've written so many articles, done so many studies, but one was really interesting to me, titled "A Work in Progress: The Lived Experience of Black Male Undergraduates at One Predominantly White University." You wrote, "Students, as all people, develop most when they feel valued, protected, accepted, and connected. Because there is always work to be done and no place is perfect, what are some ways you'd like to see Houghton, a predominantly white institution, become a place where minority students and underrepresented students can feel more at home?"
I think it's a great question, and it is something that as believers and as a Christian institution in particular that we have to continue to work at. I don't think this is one of those areas where anybody ever arrives, right? We have to do everything we possibly can to make sure that when students arrive at Houghton College, that we've not just done the things necessary to attract and recruit them here, but that once they're here, regardless of their race, ethnicity, that they feel like this campus is their campus. So I think it's really important that we use students' experiences and students' voices to tell us how we're doing in this respect. I think we're probably doing some extraordinary work in this regard on campus, and I say that because I've had the opportunity to meet some of the leaders and faculty and staff here and student leaders here, but we've never arrived, and we have to do more, and I'm absolutely committed to doing all we can to make sure that every student feels like Houghton is their home.
Okay, let's have at it. This is the Black Garlic Carolina Reaper, and I know Jake did some studies, or some research real quick, and Carolina Reaper is the hottest pepper, so.
Great intro.
Yeah, it's gonna have some fun, we're gonna have some fun.
The heat is there. It's a flavor I'm not used to. I don't think I've ever tasted anything quite like that.
I did a little bit of a deep dive on your Instagram page.
Okay.
And I pulled some pictures, and basically what I want you to do is just give me some background. So what's happening here?
So these pictures were taken during the time I served as Commissioner of Education in Kentucky. One of my absolute favorite things to do, that heat is coming now, I feel it.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So one of my absolute favorite things to do was to get out into schools and school districts. And I was visiting, if I'm pronouncing this right, Gamaliel Elementary School. And one of the things I remember about Gamaliel, and one of the reasons we wanted to visit, was they did an extraordinary job, and I believe continue to do an extraordinary job of beating the odds with students. So one of the things you hear in talks about standardized testing and student learning and student performing in schools is that it's all just a function of socioeconomic status. If you have students that come from low-income backgrounds, you're gonna have lower performance. Well, what made them stand out, and the reason why I asked the superintendent if we could come spend a day with them, is they have a disproportionate amount of students who come from low-income backgrounds, but they are outperforming what you would have expected their students to perform.
All right, and the last one. That picture is very familiar to a lot of us that spent most of our time on Zoom these past 16 months. So
I have spent a good portion of my time in higher ed in doctoral education. And this is a year 2020, 2021 picture of what a doctoral defense looks like.
okay.
So this is actually a final doctoral dissertation defense. You notice everyone is smiling because the lady at the top left corner is now doctor.
Oh, wow, okay.
So she had just successfully completed her dissertation, and we took a picture by Zoom that we would traditionally take in the room if we were all together.
Right. All right, this next one, this one's the rough one.
All right.
And definitely be careful around the eyes, and so.
You get a new napkin.
Yeah.
It doesn't taste good.
And the more you talk, the more it hurts. So my question's short.
Thanks.
What are some things, maybe one thing, that you are excited to do in your inaugural year as Houghton College's 6th president?
Ooh. Stop the burning in my mouth. I'm a people person. And so what I am most excited about, God, wait. What I am most excited about is getting to know students. Not just their major or where they're from, but really get to know, what are your heart's passions? What are those things that we can do as an institution to support you and help you to become the person that God has called you to be?
That's great. I heard most of that answer. I was focusing on the pain in my mouth right now. So.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Yep. Ooh. All right. So we're on the last one. As per tradition, I like to add a little more sauce. So this isn't a challenge. You don't have to do it.
Is this like the hottest one?
Yeah.
There you go. Golly, Jesse.
Cheers.
Cheers. Yep, I'm done.
Last question, President Lewis. You have been fearless in this wing challenge, taking each wing without hesitation. And I can imagine courage is something you prayed for regularly throughout your life. Moving forward, what are some ways that you'd like to see Houghton's community be bold in all of its pursuits?
I made the decision to come to Houghton because I had no doubt whatsoever that this is the place that God was calling me to. And so I'm reminded, as I consider this question, excuse me, I need a little water. Yeah, this is something. So I'm reminded of the first chapter of Joshua. God has brought him to this place, and God is saying to him to be strong, not because of his own strength, but because of God's strength. God has remarkable things in store for Houghton, not for our glory, but for God's glory. And knowing that God is bigger and stronger than any challenge or any foe or any circumstance that can be in our way.
Awesome. Excellent answer. And we made it through. We got through each wing. We survived. Cheers to you.
Cheers.
Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, I think.
And there we have it. I should probably start running. Thank you so much for tuning in. As always, if you do have any questions or comments, please leave those below.